You already know that the Instagram and all social media algorithms value content that people are engaging with, and the kinds of content that people are engaging with are the shareable kind. Now, they will love your beautiful photos, your videos, your captions, the things that they can respond to you with, and we talk all about how you can actually get people to respond to you. I've got that video down in the description bar below, so don't miss out on that one. But we also know that when people share content through Instagram stories, on their feeds, on their IGTV, when they are putting you out there in different ways, that ranks really well within the algorithm system. So how do you create content that is shareable or share-worthy on Instagram? I'm going to break down 3 of the best ways you can be creating content that is shareable. And the first is actually informational content. You want to make sure that you're being educational. You're teaching them something. So what kind of content can you create that helps them to do something or helps them to learn something and is something that they're going to want their friends to learn as well? You want to make sure that your content is going to be educational or informational. So you're giving out information. This could be statistics, this could be how to do something, this could be all sorts of fun, fabulous things, which actually brings us to the next one, and that is to create steps to do something or a tutorial. So if you're creating content that people can share in step 1, 2, 3 of how to take an Instagram photo, or step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of how to create the perfect chocolate chip cookies, or whatever it happens to be. If you create a series of steps within slides or video on Instagram, that is going to be something that people will want to share, and they're going to kick it out on their Instagram stories to share with their friends. So it's going to be something they want to remember, something they want to learn from, but it's going to be practical step-by-step of how to do it. So not just informational, but a practical step-by-step guide on how to do it. And I love using albums for this so that they can see step 1, step 2, step 3, all the way through the end, and you just put it in a graphic which they can then share, or a series of graphics which they can then share. And of course, our third one is going to be something that we all know that people love on social media. People love sharing this more than any type of content because quotes are inspirational. People like quotes. They learn to love them on Pinterest. They've learned to love them through Facebook. So sharing a quote, an inspirational quote, is going to be really helpful. You want to make sure it applies to your fan base and to the people that you're speaking to. So you do not want it to just be some random quote that's kind of nice. You want to make sure it applies to what you're doing inside of your business and how you're educating and how you're teaching people, how you're entertaining people. Something that is going to be inspirational to the person reading it. So just because it's inspirational to you doesn't mean everybody gets it. So let's just think of this from a practical point of view. As a professional photographer, there are professional photography quotes and conversations that we have that have nothing to do with the people I'm taking photos of. So yes, I could pose the best, funniest, most inspirational, whatever quote that speaks to me as a photographer, but it's not going to mean anything to my clients. It will mean things to other photographers, but I don't need them following me. They're not paying me to take pictures. My clients are. So you have to keep in mind when you're using quotes, this needs to be something that relates to your people. So if you are a photographer, don't put the quote that talks about how you must be taking good photos because you've got a good camera. Oh, like I cook a perfect 3-course meal because I have a nice oven. That had nothing to do with me, it was my oven. It had nothing to do with me, it was my camera. That speaks to us as photographers, and that's what I see going around an awful lot. But to my clients, that really doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. So what's going to speak to them? Something about capturing the memories of your family to pass on through the generations. Something about capturing the memories of your children in this time because they're never going to be this young again. Something like that that speaks to them. It doesn't have to speak to me or you. It has to speak to your clients. So if you're using quotes, keep them short, keep them bold, keep them big on your graphic, and then put them out on your social so that people can reshare them. And if it is inspirational and it speaks to them, they will share that. And if you provide a tutorial for them, step by step of how to do something, they'll do that too. Let's just say, running with the photography idea, that you are going to teach them how to get ready for their next photo shoot. You're going to do step-by-step of contacting the photographer, picking out your outfits, getting all the things styled, going to the thing, you're going to step-by-step it, and then they're going to save that to remember that for later. And if they do want to remember it for later, they will potentially put it up where they can be saving it through stories, where they can check back on their stories, all those fun, fabulous things, which are going to really help you out, but also reach a new level of audience because you're going to be reaching their friends who may or may not know you. Now, I do recommend that as you're putting out this content, somewhere on it, you do have your name. So yes, if you are putting a quote from somebody else, obviously you need to give them credit for that, but then down at the bottom of the graphic, put your @handle. Make sure people know where they found that, because as people kick out this content, it may or may not necessarily be showing back to you. So you always want it to reflect back to you with a tiny little watermark somewhere on it. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be in your face, but somewhere so that people can check you out if they just happen to glance and see that it is something without looking at how it has been tagged. So you want to make sure that you've got that information out there. Whatever you're doing, whether it's informational and educational, it is a step-by-step tutorial, or it is a quote, you want to make sure that it is big and bold. So don't put a ton of words on a single graphic. If you've got a lot to share, keep it condensed and use more than one image or a longer video within your Instagram. So use that album where they can swipe through it and see the whole thing. And make sure it's easy to read, because people are going to be scrolling. If they see a massive paragraph of text, nobody has time for that. They're going to keep scrolling. But if you have just a little bit of an introduction and then you've got more words and those bullet points, that's going to help you out. Pro tip here, when you're doing this, you want to make sure if you are doing something like a tutorial, you've got a main bullet point. So number one, big bold words, what it is, and then you can have a little description underneath it that's a little bit more of a paragraph in smaller text. So you want to have that bullet point in case they just want to see the bullet highlight reel of this, or they can then read if they want to read the smaller text as well. So you have more information and less information, but make it easy for people to consume just as they're scrolling through or just as they're sliding through your albums, and then create as much shareable content as possible. Mix this in with your photos and your videos, because it shouldn't just be a bunch of words and graphics and quotes and things like that. Nobody likes that. And if they come to your page and it's just constantly that, people probably aren't going to care so much about that. They can get that on Pinterest. They can get that on Facebook. They don't need it here on Instagram. So make sure you're mixing it in with what you're doing on your business for your photos and your videos and the content that you're putting out there. But definitely create some shareable content so that people can repurpose it and share it with their friends and grow their reach and grow your reach through that content to reach new people. Now, if you loved this, I've got a lot of really cool, helpful things down in the description bar below, including how you can be seen more through your hashtags. We talk all about how you can be creating some of these graphics and things for you so that you can level up your game and do what you need to do on your platform to grow a profitable business. But in the next video, hit the subscribe and notification bell if you have not done it yet. We're actually going to be talking about how to avoid being blocked on Instagram. So if you're doing certain things, it can get your reach truncated and killed and not good. So you want to make sure that you are reaching the people that you need to be reaching in an organic way. So we're going to break down the things that you could be doing right now that might be hurting your reach, and what to do instead to make sure that you have that organic reach that you're getting and you're not getting blocked, you're not getting shadow banned, you're not getting hurt or truncated on this platform. So this is going to be a really good, really important one. Hit the subscribe and notification bell if you haven't already, and get down in the description box for all of those bonuses that we talked about to level up your game on Instagram. I will see you in the next video as we're talking about how to prevent getting blocked on Instagram.